welcome to The Whistler. It's a Delaware County Community Awareness production, and I am Elisabeth Edgell. I'm the admin and creator of Delaware County Community Awareness and the Manifest Destiny reporter. And this is my co-host, Rick Yencer. He's an author and newsman. How are you today, Rick?
It's a great day. Feels like summer.
Kind of, it's a little chilly.
Oh, well, it's Indiana. Just wait. It'll change.
Well, we are going to get started right away. We have a big show today. It's called Lie in Wait. And so, as always, our main story will be at the end of the podcast, so make sure that you stay tuned for the whole thing. And if you like it, give us a like. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Anchor, Spotify, all the podcasts, audio, and Spotify. We're on video, Facebook video, YouTube video. So we're on everything. So make sure you like us, share us, and tell your friends. We're going to get started with the announcements. Are you ready to go?
Oh, always. I'm always ready. Well, we had a kind of a surreal council meeting the other night.
It was true.
With the rollout of our new Ethics Advisory Committee. And I have to thank my friend Elisabeth, who was named a member of it.
I'm really excited.
I'm glad because you represent the largest community around. You've got 25,000 people that tune in to community awareness. That's bigger than 20,000 kids at Ball State. That's bigger than any neighborhood or any other not-for-profit or profit group here in the community.
The truth is, it's my blessing.
And
I'm blessed to have those people, and they're not mine. They're learning to be their own people and to think for themselves and to get involved. And that I'm grateful for. That's really all I ever wanted.
And you're a big community builder. Well, on the Ethics Committee, you remember a debate last month
the advisory board,
about whether we should or shouldn't. The administration then sneaked in a few weeks later and said, oh, we've been doing this for the last couple of years.
Right.
And we got some information from the personnel director about it, but this committee will be responsible for recommending what the council ultimately will approve for a commission. Now, the people that were appointed, besides Liz the other night, were two HR people, Tina Black and Courtney McCall. And I don't have a lot of background on them, but they are in human resources. The attorneys that were named were the former council attorney, Dan Gibson, who stepped down over some kind of conflict.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I know. He won't say. And Alan Wilson, former mayor, he fought a battle with COVID and won, and he's a well-known and respected community leader. Besides yourself, retired academic Sandra Whitaker was also named. And a couple of Ball State academics. Charlie Taylor, who is the political science professor, and he does political forums for elections, and he's part of the Bowen Center on research and study. And an old friend of a friend, Dave Concepcion, who's a religious and philosophy professor who apparently also has been helping the administration do ethics trainings for employees, boards, and commissions. But it will be interesting to see what this group does and what they will recommend, because as you remember in the last episode, the last administration wasn't too ethical or forthright, given all the indictments for fraud and theft. But hopefully this will bring a new day and more openness to how and who runs our government. I agree
completely with that. Now I understand we also have a summer youth program.
Oh yes, this raised a lot of surprise yesterday. I was at the Board of Works, and I'm an old Woodward and Bernstein guy. Follow the money.
Right.
And anytime there's a six-figure claim on any government claim sheet, I want to know what.
Well, sure.
And if you look at the Facebook on Board of Works yesterday, I did want a little more explanation, because
we'll go into the Board of Works too later.
The city handed over $136,000 to the local NAACP for summer youth
Nobody
programs.
knows why.
And well, maybe not. Some were surprised or wondered how this all works. Well, the park board set them up as the fiduciary for the summer youth program, and this is, from what I've been told from park officials, is going to be the biggest. Over nearly 200 kids are going to work, they're going to learn, and they're going to be fed. And if you may have not heard what happened just a week, 10 days ago at McDonald's. There was an incident where there was a teenager with a gun sitting in the parking lot. I talked to a couple witnesses who saw the kid, and within moments, the kid ended his life, shot himself.
Wow, that's crazy.
And given that it was a teenager and a suicide, there's been little reporting, and a lot of community leaders don't know. But this is exactly the reason, along with the murders a couple years ago when kids were out shooting each other in the park over dumb things, over girls or weed. We need to get these kids
Busy.
something to do, and you
Right.
know the poverty in this community.
Yes, it's
1 in
right.
5 are poor, and some of these kids don't have food if they don't go to school.
That's right.
So, hopefully this is going to work. They're going to be put to work in the parks. They're going to have mentors from Ball State. I talked to Paris McCurdy the other day, and they're going to help out to try to get kids help.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I agree. I think that keeping them busy and giving them a way to earn some money and
Oh, yeah, they get
teaching them
paid.
a trade is the best way to go. I mean, that's at a good time in their life too.
Yeah, and it shows them that they have to work to earn.
I agree
And
with
if they
that.
learn, they earn.
That's good.
It's real simple.
It is. All right, we're going to move on. We had an update from the mayor yesterday. Are you on the edge of your seat?
What's the mayor up to? I stood around, waited around for him the other day, and he never showed up. And he
Well.
doesn't have weekly press conferences where the media can ask him questions. He just does that thing that he does
Yeah.
on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, he discussed a few points. We got Pepsi, and let's see here. Did I get that picture up? I didn't. But Pepsi closed, and you have the update on that. As far as
Right,
that
a
goes.
couple weeks ago, or now it's more like 10 days or ago, that by law they had to give, since a union is involved, they had to give a notice of a closure or discontinuation of operation. And that was the first step in the closure of the Pepsi plant here locally.
That's 100 jobs.
At
already.
least a warehouse, drivers. That place was built in the 50s. We've always had bottling in this community because back 100 years ago, there wasn't there was Coca-Cola, but Pepsi was a new version. There was an old Coke plant. I think the building still stands down on Willard, but when that faded, Pepsi came along. And what they've done is reorganize. They built new distribution facilities on the east side of Indy and up at the airport at Fort Wayne. And they're going to transport longer distances, and they said it won't. They'll try to meet customers' demands, but there are two big customers in this community. Ball State, who
Yeah.
feeds at least 5 or 6,000 kids that are on campus. Every fountain is a Pepsi fountain.
Right.
And also, two of the big, what would you call them? Fast food chains.
Yes.
Taco Bell, they use Pepsi.
Uh-huh.
And you've also got KFC, which isn't that big, but anybody that has a fountain,
Well, a lot of the bars have Pepsi and Coke.
and a lot of the convenience stores have
Yes,
Pepsi.
they do.
So it'll be interesting to see how this goes, and all the, like I say, the Teamsters, they still haven't figured out how many people are going to sever or how many people are going to relocate. Now, the mayor said he hoped everybody stays in town, but frankly, you got to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
where the work goes.
A lot of people leave the town to work.
And this is another example of the drip, drip, drip of Muncie getting smaller. Because last year we saw Paisl's, a 100-year-old jewelry company in
Yes.
downtown Muncie, fade. Jack's Camera Shop, who's been around
Yes.
since the end of World War II. and you just see for sale signs up and down Main Street, and you're seeing smaller institutional businesses fade because everything we know or we want is either in a box out on McGalliard or online at Amazon.
Yeah, that's true. Then he talked also about City View homes. Now,
Oh, that
I'm
scattered.
getting,
That
I'm getting ready to
scattered.
show a picture.
Oh,
Oh, this is great. Now, I was sitting on Facebook the other day and I was doing
Okay.
updates into the group. And so I usually start out on the
Really?
city page and look for any updates in the morning
Mhm.
and share them early. And this was their grand City View, 2-story, lovely single home.
really?
That's it. Everybody's like, it's
Look-
a box.
Yeah, it looks like a box.
It looks like a box, like a kid's home or something. You know, you put in a playground. I don't know. Does it look good to you?
Again, my dad was a carpenter, and all they would do with this is make it a barn for animals.
The mayor was
or-
like, "Oh, I drove by it, and it was all the walls and everything were up."
Uh-huh.
And he seemed impressed, and
Uh-huh.
public comment did not seem as impressed.
Well, you know, a lot of my labor friends are still upset with CPM, who's the Indianapolis contractor doing this job. They reported that there's undocumented people on the site, and from the looks at it, it doesn't look like very good construction. Now, the stick built out there on the river next to the Oasis, I think he said, what did he say, is like 40% occupied or something?
45% occupied, 50% sold, and then
Maybe.
that was up from 15%. He says that we can't get a grocery store interested in us until he fills this up. That's what he said.
Now, don't get me started on the food desert on the east side of town, because thousands of people depend on Dollar General or Family Dollar.
And that's a travesty because they only, as you know, in Muncie sell
And they,
frozen or canned food.
right.
Or fast, quick, pre-processed food. And there's no vegetables.
Oh, there's no
Or no
produce,
fresh
no
meat.
fruit,
And so it's only
and there's
frozen.
no fresh.
Yeah, and you pay a lot more for it than you would at a
Well,
grocery
that's-
store too.
Don't you pay
And
more
most
for
of these
convenience?
people don't have. Well, most of these people don't have vehicles.
Most of these
and-
people are on SNAP too.
and yes.
They depend on food
And
stamps.
so you're
for-
taking our food stamps and you're charging us more for the convenience so we can walk there and back.
or take a
and-
bus,
and,
at
you
least
know,
during the
You
day.
can't carry much if you go to the grocery on the bus
I understand.
or when you walk. So they know what they're doing. They put these in every economic undeveloped area.
Oh, Warren Buffett
Anderson
and
bought it years
Dollar
ago.
General.
A whole neighborhood fought from having another
Right.
one put in. So because it doesn't bring good business. All right, what it does is it brings in.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah, it is, and so it's a horrible way to have to live. So he mentioned that until we fill up that place, we're not going to get no
But
interest.
that has
in-
nothing to do with
It doesn't. It's just another way of him campaigning why he is on the city
Campaigning.
dollar.
Oh, is he on the ballot? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There was an election this year.
Yeah, but so then the last thing that he got into after he announced that we were losing about 100 jobs at Pepsi was that we're getting a new Holiday Inn Express.
Oh, out by me on McGalliard Road.
Yeah, by
That
the
road to
Hyundai.
riches.
And so that old facility that's a Holiday Inn Express will be going to be a different hotel. It's already been purchased.
That seems to be the talk. I haven't got too much reliable information on it, but what I did talk to one of the salespeople down at the Marriott who said that the current owners were having licensing problems, so somebody else came in and bought the franchise and are going to build a new hotel.
No, I
The
thought they were going
old-
to use the old one.
The old one might be rebranded as something
Yeah,
else.
it is going to be. It's already been bought. He said.
Well, remember when the old Signature there at Chatham and Bethel was rebranded into, what was it, Baymont or something?
Yeah, I did.
Hotel is a very
Apparently,
fluid.
they say we need more hotels
No, we
because of Ball State is what he said.
We need more people.
We need more, and we don't need more hotels. We don't need more, a quote unquote affordable housing. All right, what we need is our damn roads fixed. and we need grocery stores.
Oh, on the east side
Yes,
of Muncie, yeah.
we need it, and Southside could use another option other than just Walmart too.
Well, don't forget
I mean,
you got
Northside
you got
has
Aldi's,
two.
but that's
That's
limited
another.
too.
It is, and it's only in the South Side and the North Side.
And see
So-
what they've done. You see the development they brought to South Side is somewhat diminished because Dillman isn't a big construction
Yeah.
or building supply place, and there was didn't we drive by the other day and we saw another convenience store?
Yes.
Down there by Muncie Lane.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, the poor areas of town are getting the same stuff.
I hear that
So-
all the time from
Yeah.
people there.
And so then we're going to move on now. That was pretty much all the mayor had to say. Other than the rest of it was just him campaigning. So we're not going to repeat that.
Right.
Because I will not campaign for him.
Okay.
I won't.
This
I'm
is
not going to
news.
do it. That's
We'll-
what I'm
we'll-
saying.
We'll have some election news later.
Yeah, that'll be a later date. Now we're going to move on to the Board of Works meeting. There wasn't a whole lot at the Board of Works meeting. Were you there?
Right,
You were
and
there.
I said really the only thing they did besides give more community development money for affordable housing to Eco Rehab, which is actually they're doing a good
They
job
are
in
doing a
South
good job.
Muncie. And last week they kicked back about $60,000 to the Riverview project, which again by law is the what affordable housing is supposed to.
Yeah, like I said in last week's episode, a member of the group said that they quoted her for a 2-bedroom apartment over $1,000.
That doesn't seem very
It
affordable to
isn't.
me.
It isn't. The average going rate for a 2-bedroom is around
But some of that,
$650 to $800.
some of that whole federal home money goes to.
But that was
reduce.
after. That was after the reduction. That was her.
Oh,
cost.
after they
Yes,
after they got the subsidy from the
Yep,
government.
that was her cost.
Really?
Yes. So,
That's not important.
And then, as far as the Board of Works goes, it was, you said the Eco Rehab, and then that's where they gave the $136,000
To
to
the-
the NAACP
Right.
for the summer youth program.
Oh, and the construction guy, Rocky Jernigan's going to have his party next weekend around the Juneteenth. Over
Yes,
there
and
at
Miss Linda
Willard
Gregory
and-
was questioning him on,
Oh.
will you be done by midnight? Will there be alcohol? Will there be music and noise? And, they're big on this damn noise ordinance.
Well, let's
It's
look at
summer.
where it is. It's in a commercial zone across from Stubby Tire and 8th Street. And there's
Been a place there forever that's been a special private club for
Right.
a long time because my
Oh.
girlfriend lives right across the street.
Yeah, the old AFL-CIO
Yeah,
building was
exactly.
a private club.
Yeah,
the
so
better,
this area is used to it.
the better men and women's
And
club.
let's face it, I mean, what's it going to do? Interrupt
The machines
the
at Delaware,
prostitutes that go up and down the
No.
street and the crackheads that are around the
or
corner?
the machines that run at Delaware
Yeah.
Machinery.
I mean, honestly, and he really didn't answer her. He's going to run it till 2. And when she asked if there would be alcohol, he said he didn't look for there to be, which meant he's not serving it, but like you said,
Bring it up.
BYOB. So it was just laughable that she asked the questions and was so on it, and then he didn't even really
And they
answer
couldn't
her.
even explain the real story of why they're giving $136,000 to the NAACP.
Isn't that crazy?
No, that's government.
Yeah, true. Well, we are going to take a slight break, and we're going to come right back, and we're going to get into our main stories, which include roads, tourism and the Chamber of Commerce, public health, the city council meeting, because there's so much to talk about there.
Oh,
And that's our last story. So if you give us a moment, we will be right back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Give us just a second.
Let's go. I love roads.
Okay.
Because that's going to burn his ass. Oh,
Ray can't be quiet when we're waiting. I can't hear. All right. We are going to start off back at the Whistler, the podcast with Elisabeth Edgell and Rick Yencer. And it is a Delaware County Community Awareness production. And he is going to start us off with our main stories today, talking about the road conditions.
that's what everybody is concerned about. Not only did we weather through a winter with potholes, now we're weathering through a season of construction and road closures. And it started not that long ago out on 28 going from 69 to Alexandria where the state shut down a highway completely for a drainage project. The city of Alexandria was furious because they couldn't get truck traffic down there. Now here, our state road problems, right now I think everybody knows that they're doing patchwork on Indiana 32 between Muncie and Selma. And there was that horrific accident the other night.
There's been 2 accidents that have taken lives in the past month.
Right, but this one, there were several injured and a teenager died. I came up on it on Monday and the car had flipped over.
Yeah.
And it was tragic, but they have posted lower speed limits. They have police out there, and like I say,
The trouble is, people aren't paying attention. When
Right.
someone stops in front of them, that's what's happened twice now. They were turning left.
right.
And people are on their phones.
Yeah, there's subdivisions
Yeah,
on
and
either
you
side
have
of
to,
that.
You have to slow down through there.
And that's historically been a problem. And that work's going to continue through the summer.
Yes.
Something people have no idea about that the commissioners talked about the other day, and they didn't know about it until the state told them, that they're going to close down Indiana 332 at 800 West, close to the interstate, for another bridge and structure work. And that's going to be closed between after July 4th to almost August 14th. They did inform, I found out later from Ball State, that they told them that they had to have it open before school started. Now, McGalliard Road, or 332 that starts from Tilson and goes to Interstate 69, has the heaviest traffic of any road in Delaware County. And it services the university.
Well, you got Mercix there too, the factory.
Well, now they'll be able to come to the industrial park, but it's going to be closed about a mile from Mercix.
And a lot of them take 69 in.
But the problem, not only with Ball State, there's going to be a problem with all the boxes. Walmart, Meijer, Menard, Lowe's. They get truck deliveries any given day. And of course, the state can only detour traffic on other state routes, which means you're going to see more traffic on 67 and 32, but on 28 too, because if Walmart or some of these other boxes are supplied from the north, they'll come in 28, and 28 is open eastbound, but I think they're going to be done with that westbound closure here soon.
They're about to have us boxed in.
No, it's go down to Indy and see what a mess that is. You can't get around. You can't get on 465 anymore because they're redoing the 69 465.
Right.
That 69 project.
Yeah, my
coming from the
friend's
south.
a FedEx driver, and
Yeah.
he's been having a lot of difficulty with
They're
his routes.
still trying to get 69 south connected to 465, which has just been a mess. And the inner loop, the 70-65 inner loop on the east side of Indianapolis is still all torn up.
Well, it's torn up in front of Amazing Joe's, which
Oh,
we all
the
heard
local.
about last week.
Yeah, the local. The mayor says what's he doing? Oh,
Well,
he's fixing roads.
He's also giving them the extra parking spaces
Right.
at Amazing Joe's when they're all finished, but it's going to be taking longer than they expected. And so that was the trade-off, I guess.
Liz, if you see those big sewer pipes, they're putting a 42-inch storm sewer in through that parking lot, under the road to the river. And they're tearing out part of the trail, too, there that connects.
And that parking lot was jacked up anyway.
It's always been kind of a hard thing to get in and out. But there were some problems. The operator there, the restaurant, didn't get word. They
But he
all
wasn't
sat
notified.
down.
The mayor wasn't.
Yeah, they all sat down and they learned that actually another person actually owns the property, and that owner happens to be who used to own Muncie Liquors, Linda Koger.
Yeah.
And they came up with this deal that the city's going to give them that little. It's not even a quarter acre behind Joe's for parking out of the mess.
And as a footnote to our last story, there'll be more
Right.
on that.
Oh,
when we talk
wasn't there
about the city
some
council.
other?
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we talk about the city
Okay.
council. But I'll let you go ahead and move on with Jefferson.
Now some of my old friends over on the west side of town, the old girls that live up and down Riverside and go to the pool, and they call it the rape of Riverside. It's been 5 years since they've tried to build a trail that no property owner wanted up and down Riverside between Tillotson and Jackson. And what they did not know is that there were utility problems galore.
Really?
Not just with the trail construction, but with ultimately rebuilding the road, because Riverside, like most other Muncie roads, was chuck-holed and almost impassable at times. So after they had to wait a year or two for all the utilities to be cleaned out of the right of way, they're finally to the point they've got the trail down, but it's not a concrete trail, it's an asphalt trail. If they would have just said, well, we're gonna put a sidewalk down Riverside, there wouldn't have been all of this conflict that there was years ago with the property owners that didn't want a trail there.
Well, I think that the lack of communication shows more and more.
Well, we got to blame the chamber too on this, because the chamber got the money for this trail. The city just got they got stuck with doing it because it was public. It was a public works project, and there's still a lot of people that are very upset with this.
Well, there's even more roads closed.
Oh yeah, there's some other things the mayor's doing. He just said the other day that they're doing work over there at the roundabout on South Madison by the old Kmart.
Because he didn't like the way the previous
he said the road was failing out there.
Yeah.
But see, they have IB Tech runs their semi driver program out of that property across the street, and there's a lot of truck traffic comes in from old 67, because just down the road you've got the industrial center with Magna, the new can plant,
Progress Rail,
the railroad,
and the college,
and other industries out there. So there's a lot of truck traffic there too. So I don't know if it was what it was before. He also said a portion of South Jefferson was going to be closed
on the south side, yeah.
And they're doing work over in the Pettigrew neighborhood off of Petty Road too. But I don't, given it's a neighborhood, they can't completely close the street. It's like Riverside.
Well, tell that to store neighborhood.
Which store?
Store or neighborhood.
Oh,
They have a rough way to go there, and it's been a rough thing. I have friends that live over there.
Oh.
And they have done nothing but be upset about it since that project started.
Well,
their neighborhood's been torn
some people didn't want to see store torn down. OW
Well,
Store did a lot for this community.
It's been going on for a year.
And they tore the school down, and then the mayor said, we're going to build a subdivision there. Well, that should be done by a developer. It shouldn't be done by government. I've talked to other developers and other builders who wonder why the city is throwing so much in tax credits or free infrastructure. Years ago, Liz, that developers had to build their own streets. They had to build their own sewers.
Yeah.
They had to build this and then get the government
Well, when
to
you have
accept
a mayor
it.
that's involved in real estate purchasing instead of ribbon cutting, that's what you get.
Well, but again, the government has heavily subsidized building and construction in recent years too.
Yeah, but it's his mayor's fund that
Oh, the edit money?
the edit money, and we're going to talk about that again in the city council section.
Like I said, and like Mike Hicks last year said, that housing's overbuilt. We've got enough housing here.
Yeah.
And like the mayor said at the redevelopment commission a couple weeks ago, they don't have investors or a developer that's going to build that second White River lot there where they tore down the old High Street Square. So you're going to look at an empty lot forevermore until somebody comes in with money and a building plan. And I thought that, like I say, I
Always
don't.
the hurry and tearing it down for it to be a parking lot.
I don't even think it's going to be a parking lot. It's just
I
going to
mean,
be
it
an
is
empty
right
lot.
now.
But
yeah, they won't even let you park in it probably.
well, it's sad. But on the other note, why don't we talk a little bit about the chamber
We can do
and tourism, because tourism is kind of a lost.
Are we going to talk about tourism first?
Well, we're going to talk about all these people. Elisabeth Roray, who runs an all-female chamber of commerce, and Kevin Kirby. People probably don't know who Kevin Kirby is, but he's the new director
That's
of the
right.
Tourism Bureau.
I have never seen him before.
Yeah, nobody knows who he is. They brought him up from the South. He was educated in the East. He worked in Mississippi and Louisiana in tourism. He was a consultant out in Houston. They picked him up. I heard the chamber had a hand in this, even though the
Now, what does somebody that's down in Louisiana and deals with their tourism down there have to do with Muncie and our area's tourism? Because it's the complete opposite geographical.
let me tell you, he's pushing on 30 years. And he's looking at golden years, but he can still, given his experience, and he's been a consultant in marketing and tourism in 3 big places, Mississippi,
This has to be kind
2
of
Gulf State, and
bore to him. I mean, here
well, it's just
we have what, Garfield and
the AMA
Bob
and
Ross.
Minnetrista. That's but we got Ball State too. A lot of people come to Ball State, and like I say, that's why we've got the hotels out on McGuire, because 30 years ago, when the Roberts was still downtown and they built the convention center, they threw all the food and beverage money at the convention center, but then when the Roberts faded, there were about 10 years that there was no hotel downtown.
we have a pretty high food and beverage tax here.
It's only 1%, but depending on whether your bill is a $2 cheeseburger or a $100 meal for a couple, yeah, it adds up to about $2 million. That every single nickel and dime of that goes to the convention center.
Well, I mean, the thing I forgot to mention with the roads, but this is in the same vein, is, we're taxed to death here. Like, I went to go get my plates for my car
Oh,
and my sticker, and the actual sticker plates cost $21, but I'll
Right.
be paying $92 after the local fees.
but yeah, you look at the local fees, including the dreaded
That's
wheel tax.
$71 of local fees.
I know.
That's ridiculous. I just about had a heart attack.
But remember what local government did years ago. They created a wheel tax that is one of those fees that's about $15 or $20. And they said, we're only going to do it for a couple of years. Well, years later, it's still on every time you buy
We need to bring that up to council sometime. When
Uh,
they get their heads wrapped around everything else. What's
well,
left of it?
the people, the only person that was on that council, the only 2 people on that, well, Mary wasn't on it, but Ron Quakenbush was, and he retired.
Right.
Well, but Jane Laster wasn't on it either. But yeah,
What about
there's
Dishman?
who?
Was Dishman on it?
No, this was a county.
Oh, okay.
This was
Sorry.
a county tax. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about tourism and the million that they've got in assets
You mean the
from the
chamber?
income. No, we're going to go to the chamber.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about the chamber. Liz Roray rolled out this week called Greater Muncie Chamber of Commerce, which she called a modern Art Deco and clean minimalist design. It replaced the gear. They had gear on the old Muncie, Delaware Chamber of Commerce, and that was about
Muncie
40
gear?
years. Well, it looked like a ninja star to me because it had points. Most
That's
gears are round,
Yeah, they are.
edge, not
Like,
pointed.
Yeah.
But anyway, she said it was time for an upgrade, and the old design, the old name was 40 years old, but the chamber's been around over 100 years. But their goal is to bring the chamber up to date with a new, fresh look and increase membership. Well, see, it's a members. You got to pay to play at the chamber. You have to pay almost $200 for a chamber member.
A year?
For a year, yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It's a pay to play.
At a time when local businesses are barely holding on, do you really expect people to take $200 a year?
Look,
For what? What did they get in return?
oh, you get some meals. There's a golf tournament, a bowling tournament. See, it's
I
still
hate golf
based.
and bowling.
Yeah, see, it's still based on old.
Old stand. They haven't updated really anything.
No, they've just
They've slapped a new name on it.
they've slapped a
Like,
new
add a new
name
color.
and a new brand on it. But the old ways of getting people together, bowling,
Well, marketing
golf.
is my business, and,
Okay.
and rebranding things are my business, and I help a lot of businesses, and I have 3 corporations
I know
myself.
what you
But the people don't, Rick. So what I'm saying is, branding is a lot more than just a new logo.
do. A new
It's
identity.
New,
This is
yeah.
a new.
It's like they're choosing an identity. Everybody gets an identity these days. Can
Well,
we just
here's-
be who we're born to be?
Well, here's the new identity. Elizabeth Roray, who is also a state representative, who used to be a school board member, but she used to work for Republicans in Congress years ago when she was a kid before she had a family. And Liz is a very smooth operator because she's been experienced in Washington.
Yeah.
She's now a state rep, and she's also the CEO. It's kind of like the mayor being
Yeah,
both
several hats.
the chief executive and a redevelopment director.
Huh.
But Liz is a very skillful operator, and I hope this new identity works because it's the first time in history too that the chamber's been run by all women. The
Huh, I did
marketing
not know that.
person, the ED, Tracy Lutton,
Except for Kirby.
and well, they're kind of separate, Liz, even though they are in the same business of attraction and
I see.
promotion. But yeah, let me tell you a little bit about Kirby and the tourism.
Okay.
They've taken 2 years to come up with a new visitor's guide. I know we've only
Oh,
got
this is
Dark
great. Yeah, hang on.
and
There you go. Now you can show the camera.
oh, they're gonna have a new visitor's guide, but they're gonna plaster it with the mayor's idea of an eclipse party next year when the eclipse darkens the sky for about 3 minutes around Indiana.
Yeah, we had a press release about this because it's breaking
Oh,
news.
the mayor made a big deal about this.
Yeah,
like
but
it's
it'll
gonna
happen
bring
in
people.
a year.
Well, and I read the same story in Indy, Terre Haute.
How are we gonna get there?
People, yeah, they're doing their thing too. But the other thing that I found out that they did a year or two, they brought up a restaurant guide. And guess who's on the restaurant guide? The mayor and his wife. And they're going to republish it because we've had some changes in restaurants. And see,
Yeah.
that's the other thing about their old visitor's guide. The back page of that visitor's guide was Neely House, which has been closed for
Yeah.
a year. And I heard that Mike Robinson has bought that, but I don't know, can Muncie afford 2 elegant restaurants, Vera Mays and Neely?
I don't know.
Both of
Vera
them have
Mays has
turned
gone
over.
through a
Yeah,
weird
the
change. It's not the
boys,
same
Ken and
place.
Steve sold it to, who's the architect guy? Unger.
Unger, yep.
And they've got Small Stag down there, who's a well-known hustler, and it doesn't have the same feel.
It doesn't.
The boys always came out and made you feel welcome.
There's no mariachi
and,
band.
Phil Cooley's passed. There's no Saturday night piano like.
I used to love that too.
Yeah, I just.
Me and my girlfriends love to go get dressed up and go into Vera Mays
Well,
and
I
have
can't,
a cocktail and
I,
appetizer.
and I can't tell you how many times that I've been to Beer Maze and had a great night.
Oh, me
always
too.
loved-
Every time I go, I do.
I always told Phil, play it again, Sam, like in Casablanca.
Yes, I love it.
And he'd always dress up, in a
Yeah,
white
he did,
coat. and
yes.
He was a very
He had
accomplished-
I saw him in there on New Year's, and he had a tux on.
Right. Yeah, it's sad.
It is.
But anyway, on the tourism note, well, I guess we're going to have a new visitor's guide this summer. They're going to try to do something with a couple other attractions besides promote this eclipse. But like I say, we're still limited because, as everybody knows, there's only a handful, whether it's the Minnetrista, the AMA, the aviation thing out there west of the Oasis, and of course the university. So I think that's what we've got here with the chamber and promotion and development. Oh, that's the other thing about tourism I forgot. that they just made recommendations on about $1 million. The mayor last year, besides giving the sanitary district, the hotel, and others money, mayor gave tourism $1 million to give to attractions and hotels. Now they made recommendations. I don't have the list, but they sent the recommendations to the commissioners who will approve the spending. So we'll have to follow that money because there's still millions in American Rescue Plan money out there from neighborhoods. Sanitary districts got $7 million. I just found out too in the chamber. I forgot here. There's another thing. The chamber came out with their Summer Alliance magazine, which promotes business and industry. And in this month, they promoted art and culture. And I didn't know that Muncie Art and Culture, which is a nonprofit group that promotes art and culture, they got $500,000 in STEMI money to promote public art.
So, yeah, I can't find any art groups or anything other than the art walk in this town.
What?
Well, Mad Jack's got rid of their art program that they
had
there.
Yeah.
And every time I get wind of it and I question them, it's already done.
Yeah. Well,
I'm an artist, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, I know, but this.
Well, they don't.
But this is the. Everybody knows this downtown piece. It's a very attractive art piece. And I've seen other art pop up at the Family Resource Center down there at Willard. Yes. Somebody's painting a mural there. And of course, we know this thing that is out at Minnetrista that was there for the last 30 years.
Isn't one of your friends featured in there?
Who? Oh, I forgot. Since it's Pride Month, I just met Charlize Jameson is one of the welcoming people now with the chamber and telling her story of changing and what she's done. She's been here forever.
Yep, I got to meet her at the city council meeting.
See, I've never seen the chamber dabble in race or gender. Well, they did dabble in race because I think Frank Scott was the president of the Chamber Board of Directors a year or two ago. So they are. It's not just an old white man business and industry now. Women are running it. People of color, people of different genders.
Trans.
Well, you got to do something here to be accepted in the 21st century.
Well, we're going to move on. We're going to go to the utility story that we have today, and that is the Indiana American Water rate case. The Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor, which is a state agency that represents the consumer interests in certain cases that come before the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. They're inviting written consumer comments for the official case record through July 5th of 2023. The OUCC is using its technical and legal resources to review the proposal that INAWC is making, and they are scheduled to file their testimony with the IURC on July 12th. Now, the INAWC provides service to approximately 328,000 customers in more than 50 Indiana communities, and it's a wholly owned subsidiary of Camden, New Jersey-based American Water, Inc. Now, they attribute the requested rate increase to numerous infrastructure investments. Now, some of those are replacing of aging infrastructure through their territories, main replacements and relocations, new meters and hydrants, proposed new treatment plants in Winchester and Sheridan, new storage tank in West Lafayette, chlorine conversion for its Northwest Indiana and Shelbyville operations, customer-led service line replacements, security measures, and additional projects. The utilities request also includes the recent cost of acquiring smaller utilities throughout Indiana. Now they're going to raise the rates in the water rates in 3 phases. They're going to increasing its total annual operating revenues by $86.7 million. That's over 31% over the current rate.
Yeah, they're raising it.
Yeah, so 30%. It's going to increase in January 2024, April 2024, and April 2025. So the impacts to the billing are going to be very high by area.
Right.
Now, the sewer rates, which the utilities proposal is also going to raise those rates too. That's going to be for 2,800 wastewater customers in Somerset, Sheridan, and Riley, and in portions of Delaware and Clark counties. Now, it includes a proposal. This is great. You're going to love this. It includes a proposal to create a new low-income assistance program, which is going to be ratepayer funded. So
we pay for it.
Yeah, and they're going to provide discounts for qualifying customers. So they also propose to include each residential customer's first 1,500 gallons within the monthly customer service charge before monthly volumetric rates take effect. Now this is where it gets really weird. The rates has kept increasing since 2019 when they got IURC approval. Now, through the Utilities Distribution System Improvement Charge and the Service Enhancement Improvement Rider, those rate tracking systems allow for rate recovery of certain infrastructure projects. Now, some of them are up for review, some of them are up for approval. So they increased the tracker rates to, and they were going to be approved in March 2021.
That sounds like it's
March
automatic to
2022,
me.
February 2023, and March 2023. So if you do wish to submit a written comment for the case record, I will put all of this information in the comment section of the comment section above the video.
Great.
Here. And you can either go to the website, you can do it by email, or you can do it by snail mail. All right. So they need to receive all of those no later than July 5th, so that they can consider those comments in preparing its testimony and file them with the commission. Now they should include your name, mailing address, a reference to either IURC cause number or Indiana American Water Rates. They also have a toll-free number, which we'll put in there too. Now they're going to have a field hearing, and they're going to schedule that for a future date and location to be determined. And those comments there will have the same weight as the ones that people
But given their size, we don't know. It may not even be in Muncie or.
We don't know because this covers a large portion of Indiana.
Right.
So we wanted to update you that that's coming so that you can plan ahead. 31% increases by April 2020.
Well, that's what they've done in the past with other utilities. I checked with other utilities, and there isn't anything filed so far with electric, with Indiana, Michigan, or Synergy, the natural gas. But yeah, you look over the last few years, and they have repeatedly. Matter of fact, Indiana, Michigan raised rates during the pandemic.
They sure did. They were really quick to bring when they gave everybody a break for those few months. And they were really quick.
I would suggest Indiana, Michigan has a failing system because the other day the power went out without notice downtown. That affected the hotel and the convention center.
And lots of residential
And
areas.
they were waiting for a full house night because of a convention next door. It put out 1,700 customers for at least 2 hours in the downtown in that industrial area in South Muncie. And I've seen other spotty power outages. Now they built transmission lines. They replaced a lot of transmission lines in central Indiana. But again, Indiana, Michigan has grown their customer base, but they haven't updated their equipment. Yeah.
Well, we are going to move on to the meat of our...
The meat?
Yes. The city council meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so it was a very short meeting, shorter than we're used to, and it seemed like not much happened. But if you were there at the meeting and you've been going to these meetings and you knew the players involved, both in the audience and up on the council, they gave you a lot of food for thought. Everybody left curious with questions, with hypothesis of what they thought was going on behind the scenes, and who was actually pulling the strings.
Yeah, I understand. I've covered these things for a half century. This was the most politically tainted, ridiculous display of lies that I think I've ever seen lately.
At a meeting where they arranged for the Ethics Advisory Board.
Oh, on top of that, they appointed the ethics.
It
really
was a
big.
very stark reminder of
Of
why we're doing this.
Or what it really is.
Yeah, what ethics really have to do with. Now, I've thought about how I want to come about this, and I want to start it just like the meeting started. So that it started normally, on time. There were 2 people missing from the meeting. Let's see here.
Well, you know, Central
Let's go
graduation
with,
was
yeah,
Monday
it
night.
was. It was. So we were missing Eric Clark, who did not show, and he did not arrive by Zoom or on the
Oh, he
phone
didn't
or
get
anything.
online, did he?
No, I mean, and to be fair, it's his daughter's graduation.
Right.
You know, that's his choice. You know, I mean, just like many, 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 many city council members have missed a meeting or 2. Now, Aaron is
Or
not known
they've
for
had-
doing that.
yeah, they
He's
do
usually
have-
at every one, but I mean, it's your daughter's graduation.
Exactly.
So, you know, I understand that. However, Mr. Ingram, now, let's just say this. Mr. Clark is on the upcoming election.
Oh, yeah, he's on the
right?
ballot.
He's on the ballot. And he
And
is
he was
a
elected.
recognized,
And he was elected in 19. He's one of 4
Yes.
that are still there.
and he
but-
is a recognized Republican of the Republican Party here locally.
Yeah,
all
he's
right?
favored.
He is, and supported. So he did not show up, and then we did not see Mr. Ingram there in person. You might remember Mr. Ingram was going to be running for re-election,
Right.
and he had to have the unfortunate call that his paperwork was not all entirely correct. He had some
And the
clerical
election-
errors.
And the election board
And
outed him.
even though 29 out of the 30 that applied for to be on the ballot had clerical errors as well. Some of them were missing their canned paperwork completely. Glenn Munson and Isaac Miller for 2. And then Isaac Miller was given the wrong can form he filled out, I believe. So there's just everybody had the mistakes except for one person, but he is not a recognized member of the Republican Party, even though he was elected in 2019 as well.
Well, and remember that they did take Isaac Miller off, who gave us a surprise
They
the other
did?
night. He
Yeah,
resigned.
I'll get to that.
Okay,
All
yeah,
right.
I'm sorry.
So we did not see them at the meeting when they took roll call, although since Mr. Ingram is who he is, he showed up by Zoom meeting and was
Right.
there to vote, which was very important since there would have been 2 members missing. So instead we were just down 1, right? So then the meeting went on to approval of the minutes like usual. There was no committee reports. And then we went appointments to boards and commissions. But right before we got there, we noticed there was another empty spot in the room.
Oh, yes.
And
the
that would be
attorney.
where the city attorney would sit. And so, you know, the city attorney has been Gibson and
Dan Gibson.
and he's
Oh, with Jason Delk.
yes, and so he's been there since 2019, correct? When
They
yes.
hired him, and I don't remember just why or how, but he was some really nobody because Jason Delk has been a practicing lawyer for years, and of course, Dan's been a practicing lawyer too lately.
The reason that he wasn't there is because he summarily quit the week before,
Right.
filed his resignation with the council, and he stated in his resignation that he was quitting because a council
Oh, there
member
was some conflict.
had sent an email that he shouldn't have sent, and it should have gone through lawyers, and he didn't do it correctly. And now we've tried to get this email. I know that other people have Freedom of Information Act requested it.
Oh,
And I know that Rick here
I
has
asked
asked
him
him
point
directly.
blank on Monday, where's the email? It's a public record. And he said he'd send it, but he didn't. I
So,
guess he's gone this
Since
week.
we couldn't get him to help us out, we decided to talk to the person that he accused of the wrongdoing. And we've already talked about him today. There he is. He said Mr. Clark sent the email.
Right.
So Rick got a hold of Mr. Clark, and he asked him, reliable sources indicate the city council attorney resigned over conflict with you. Can you elaborate? Those sources indicate that it was about city public works project that your family had an interest in. Right? And he responded, "Good morning, Rick. Thank you for the email." In their voluntary resignation email, the statement made was that I had, quote, sent an email from my official council email address that directly interfered with the firm's relationship with an existing client involving a matter that is unrelated to city council business, end quote. No details or email was provided. The statement of misuse of official email is false. No such email exists. I had a text conversation with the owner of Amazing Joe's. I told you we'd be talking about that. He made a Facebook post claiming he and his attorney had not been informed of the pending MSD work on the property of his business. I asked how I could help and provided some feedback. Could that be the, quote, interference, end quote, claims? I do have relatives who contracted with MSD and have for many years. I do not know anything about their respective businesses or if they are participating in this project. Feel free to call me anytime. Aaron Clark. Now, that's pretty direct there, right?
No, that's what happened. And of course, we repeatedly asked the attorney. And just to clarify, the Joe's operator, Mike's attorney, is his partner, Jason Dell.
Yes.
And there seemed to be an issue about Clark just asking why they didn't contact him.
Yeah, and see, some people think that's why, Aaron Clark wasn't at the meeting because he didn't want to discuss it any further because they don't have an attorney now. Right? So now to say anything about a matter like this would be
I think
in bad form.
It'd be a problem.
And so Aaron might have not come as well as his daughter's graduation for that reason.
The bottom line still is that Aaron told us what's going on, the attorney didn't.
Yes.
And we found out later through other sources about this mess that was created for Joe's over the sewer project. The mayor...
I saw the post that the gentleman that runs Amazing Joe's made.
Oh, Mike.
And he was frustrated. He had listed
he made
several
it clear.
times that he had met with the mayor, and the mayor kept putting him off and kept pushing him to the side.
Really?
Yes, at least 3 different times they were supposed to meet. He was supposed to have answers. The mayor just stopped contacting him and answering his calls.
Okay.
And it wasn't until he went live on Facebook and put
That
that
he got
post
the idea.
that he got attention. And he got attention from the council members, in my opinion, and this is my opinion.
Okay.
That's what the council is supposed to do. When they see an issue, when someone's railing against the city, they're to come in and see if they can help, and that's all Aaron did.
Yeah, isn't that his job?
Yes, I don't see where he was in fault at all, and I'm not going to stop trying to get that email. Because
to clarify,
if nothing else, the Gibson is lying. So I want to know why they quit.
Well, no, I'm not going to say that.
Well, I'm just saying. Yeah, I know he's a lawyer. I get it. So then the other
Or
issue.
what's our title about today?
Well, this is what the title's about.
Okay.
Now
who are these other guys?
Now we're getting to that. Before I say this, I walked in. Rick dropped me off because I had heels on, and he went to park the car. And so I walked in ahead of him and chose a seat in the middle.
Okay.
And I always look around and see who's there. I don't go to every single meeting.
Being a good
right, and
observer,
it's a good way to know people, right?
You got to know the players
and
before you can play.
I saw somebody I've never seen since I've been going to city council meetings here.
Who?
Well, he was sitting here with this McClellan, and I didn't know his name at the time.
Long time. His dad,
I didn't know him.
Paul was an attorney.
Right.
He's a legacy.
But look who he was sitting next to.
Who was he sitting next to?
The Republican committeeman.
Oh, he's the county auditor too, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
And he won by no contest.
Yeah, because that was kind of a neat deal he arranged there.
No, it's
a loophole
to have one party rule.
Yes. And so I've never seen him there, but he was sitting there with McClellan, and they were just thick as thieves.
Oh boy!
All right, now when you come in, you recognized him.
Oh
when
yeah,
he was walking
I've
around.
known Donnie for years.
And then both of us recognized Brandon Murphy.
Oh yeah, Kid Murphy.
Yeah, my
His dad's an
ex-husband
attorney.
used him for his previous divorce. Also, you might remember, he was recently in the news because of Mr. Ingram's case against the election board.
Wasn't he the proxy for Rick Spangler
He was,
the day
and he was one
that
of the
the
two votes
election
that got
board voted him off?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so
But now remember...
get this. As soon as you saw Brandon Murphy there, you said, that's who they're going to put,
Yeah.
And
But I didn't know Donnie was sitting back there.
We saw Jeff Robinson, council president, put Brandon Murphy up for nomination, and he listed his credentials and why he'd make a good fit.
But you know how strange that is, because Brandon Murphy ran against him in the 2nd District for council in 19.
That and with Troy Ingram's history with him, that was also another complication.
Yeah, Brandon keeps popping up.
He does,
everywhere.
and then they both went up to speak in front of the council and talk about who they were and to kind of sell themselves. Brandon did his typical job of it, which you would think anyone would do. And then McClellan got up, and it was very weird because the first thing he said, I remember you talking about him when you saw him there and how long he'd been here his whole life. And the first thing he said was that he came here in the 80s.
I missed that, but that sounded like a dodge along with what else he said.
And then he started talking about, well, you should just, if you pick Brandon, he's going to do you a fun job.
Yeah, he'll do
and
fun.
It was more like he was singing for Brandon than he was for himself. It seemed he didn't want it, didn't it?
I don't know what it seemed
It was
like.
very weird.
Well, they're all lawyers.
Yeah, but it was trippy. And then we sat there and we watched a vote happen when the council voted on this, right? And it was shocking because Robinson voted for him and he ran against it, and Mr. Ingram voted for him. Now, like another podcaster said, he was going to ask Troy why he chose Brandon, but he said, and I agree, I would think that Troy would say this too, that he chose the best man for the job. And he didn't have anything to do with him personally.
So he
took his own personal issues out of it, and he decided on what he thought was best for that. And with him not being allowed on the ballot and the way that his own party did him, I found that to be another point in Troy's favor for being one of the best councilmen we've had.
Troy's a good man, he's a working man, and
he's never changed
and
his
he's
whole
not
thing.
gonna, no.
He hasn't. And so kudos to you, Troy Ingram, for doing exactly what we pay you to do and elected you to do. I appreciate that, and I know a lot of other people did too. I know that had to be hard for you. So they went ahead and they chose Murphy, and he hopped right up in that seat and took the seat, didn't he? And now right before they voted, we heard from Miss Belinda Munson.
Oh, what'd she say?
Well, you couldn't really hear because unlike her last time, she went up to.
She didn't have microphone.
She had something to say, but she wanted us
she's
to not
city
do
clerk,
the.
isn't she?
Yes, and she didn't want us to do the ethics advisory board, so she went up.
Table it.
She wanted to table it and not vote on it, and she went up to the podium and was very vehement and very throwing her arms around and whatnot, right?
Vocal and animated.
Yes, and but this time she sat in her clerk's seat and did not speak on microphone, so unless you were up front, you didn't hear it. And what she was saying was, she had some previous business with Murphy in a legal sense and wondered if that'd be a conflict of interest. So it was like, to me, and I could be wrong, I'm a layman, I'm just a citizen, it looked like she was trying to keep them from...
You're the first citizen.
It looked like she was trying to keep Murphy from being in a vote.
The whole thing was so surreal because you couldn't tell the truth from a lie.
It was a trip. You knew that this was not what it appeared to be. You knew it, but you couldn't put your finger on where it was going next. That was the weird part of it.
No, I called it. I knew Murphy was going to be the one. I don't know what the sideshow with.
Yeah, we're still working on that. Believe me, I'm not letting go of this. I'm going to worry it like a dog.
If you want my opinion, they're still trying anything they can do to diminish the role of the council and specifically Jeff Robinson.
I thought Jeff did a good job.
Democrat candidate for mayor.
I thought he did a fine job. He kept control.
And he kept the majority too. And
He
that's
did.
hard to do with
And wasn't he? Who voted? Was there any no votes, or who voted for McClellan?
There were two, but I don't have it in front
I'm
of
pretty
me.
sure it was Isaac Miller and
Yeah.
was it Green?
I'm not
I
sure
can't
whether-
remember. But there was only a couple for McClellan. It was,
Yeah. It was Miller and somebody
Yes.
else, but I can't remember because somebody was got my attention when they were calling the roll, and I had to say, "Hey, be quiet."
Well, then we moved on to a kind of a weird moment. We moved on to appointing the boards and the commissions.
Oh yeah.
And we went on to appointing the board that I was appointed to, the Ethics Advisory Board.
Right.
And
You
Roe,
got the most votes too.
I did. I got 6, and the next person got 5, and on down.
Right.
And I was really surprised by that. I did not think that they would allow me to be on this board. I'm grateful. Roe did nominate me, and for that, I'm extremely grateful.
Roe's a good.
She's a good person, and she really wants to do the right thing. I think she just doesn't know what that is, and it's no wonder. I don't know what that is, and I'm watching it.
Well, remember now, she was one of those 5 that were appointed to the council.
No, actually, it's 6 now.
Oh yeah, that's
Well,
right.
we'll
'cause
get
gotta
there.
be-
We'll
okay.
get there. Yeah, so she had appointed another member of the advisory board who I believe was a minister, but he happened to be a Democrat.
Right.
And Minister Ed Carroll did not like that. Boy, he was shaking his head no
I
in
didn't
the
see
back.
that.
Oh,
He
I
was
did.
sitting behind me. And
He was.
oh, was he?
I wanted to know what he thought
Was
because
he that animated?
yeah, because I don't feel that they supported her in this. So at any rate, that happened, and Isaac Miller questioned her if she'd done her quote unquote homework,
Right.
and if he was still a lawyer.
Oh, Alan Wilson.
Yes, if he was still a lawyer. And she said, "What? Yeah, I don't think he would have applied for it if he wasn't a lawyer." And then there was some kind of shade thrown on her by Mr. Miller, which he's done several times, not just to her, but
Well,
to
I
other
can
people.
assure you that Alan is still legally practicing.
I meant to look that up before we come on the
I
podcast, but I
can
forgot.
assure you of that.
But she was kind of taken aback by that, and it was weird for everybody watching too. So
but what happened next? Is
what happened next was, well, that's when I got appointed, and then we moved on through a few ordinances. Nothing really big on those. Vacating a portion of 5th Street, setting salaries for the Beach Grove people. They were just basic stuff. They did do the Animal Care Board. Dr. Misty Reese was, let's see, Dr. Misty Reese at the Riverview Animal Hospital was the veterinarian they chose. And then we had Mary Stilts and Haley Perkins. And so I believe Haley got it. And then we moved on to my appointments.
They appointed Andre Mitchell of Deliverance Church to
Yes.
the Human Rights Commission.
That's right. So we went through all of that, and then we got down to the very end, which was other business. And Yencer went, and he talked about the budget coming up and wanting to know how we spent edit funds and how we spent stimmy money. And then it was Isaac Miller's turn to speak. He said he had something to say.
Oh, he
did.
was.
He did have something to say, and we were all blown away as soon as he was done talking. Let's see, where is he at here? There he is. All right, now, this is Isaac. You might remember that he was caucused in by the Republicans 2 months ago to take over Polk's place when he became treasurer for the county, right? So he was also going to rerun for office, but like Troy Ingram, they did not allow him on the ballot either.
Oh yeah, he had some problems.
He did, his filing was a mess. And so, this is him swearing in, and he's been very, like he was with Roe the other day, kind of, attackish.
He's aggressive.
He is aggressive.
And he's also a member of Redevelopment Commission that voted to support that apartment building being developed by the former or the former CEO who was convicted of money laundering and fraud.
And the mayor, the mayor.
Who was redevelopment director, brought that company to town.
Exactly. So he might have served his purpose. Who knows? But the fact is, he said he was immediately resigning at the end of that meeting. No one knew about it. You could tell by the looks on their faces.
I talked to a couple council members, both sides, and they didn't know.
They were shocked. And he is taking a job in Washington, D.C. with what was it?
A federal election.
Yeah. So,
given that he works for the federal government, he cannot hold local office under the federal law. But he seemed to be an opportunist.
That's how it come off.
Yeah, he didn't last 6 months.
No, he didn't last 3.
As council member, he was very hawkish as far as conservative, calling anything that maybe like the ethics group political.
He wanted it tabled as well. I remember that.
But I don't know that much about him, but he's one of those people that just kind of a flash in the pan.
Well, we now have 6 council members since 2019 that have vacated their positions. 2 said they were moving on to jobs that they would require too much of them to do the council work. 1 retired, and what were the other 2? Oh, they moved on to other positions within the government. And so that's 6 out of 9. That is unheard of. I can't find anything in the whole country with those numbers.
What, that you
I've
completely
researched
turned
it for
over
months.
an elected board
Yes,
or commission?
and every single one of those people, their area almost, except for the at-large, that were appointed, had a special project the mayor needed to get through.
Really?
They did.
Oh yeah, you're right. There were some.
Yes.
There were some people that actually helped the mayor.
There was just so much going on. I mean, there was a powwow of the Republican Party after the meeting. For most of them, you could definitely tell who wasn't invited to that.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on. Like, I literally, everywhere I looked, there was a whole other thing going on.
Well, I would tell you, too, that even though a lot of people think the Democrat Party is diminished and dead, the Republican Party is greatly divided, even though they have every government job except for a few.
And that you could see the subterfuge and the inner workings and the fakeness going on with them too. I mean, it was palpable. You could feel it in the air.
Political.
It was very political. Very political. And I am not even one to see politics where it doesn't exist, but my goodness, this was just salty. It was petty, a lot of it too.
Liz, that's all government is a lot of times. Look at it nationally. Look at it down to the State House.
Yeah, but I'm used to locally.
At City Hall. Okay.
Locally, I've never seen some of these things happen.
Well, neither have I.
I mean, honestly, I've never. And so, when I was doing my research, I ran across this story, and we'll end with this today.
What was that?
It was a story about 2 sitting council members lost their challenges and their candidacies Friday due to mistakes in filing paperwork. They were talking about Troy Ingram and Miller, that they lost their arguments before the Delaware County Election Board.
Right.
And votes 2-1, which, like we said, Brandon Murphy was one of those
Drum
no
was
votes.
the other.
Drum voted for them.
No, Nichols.
Nichols was, no, I just read it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it said that election board members voting were Pete Drum, representing Republican, Ashley Nichols, representing Democratic, and the local attorney, Brandon Murphy. Ashley Nichols voted, you're right. She voted to let them both be on the thing, but neither one were allowed. So after the meeting, Drum said that the candidates needed to take great care to properly fill out election filing paperwork. The forms can be confusing. Don't trust a clerk, quote, with handling the paperwork for you, he said. Quote again, don't trust anybody but yourself. And that's why we named this Lie in Wait.
Really?
Because Isaac Miller waited till the very end to just all of a sudden up and quit. Much ado about nothing. That's what it made me think of. And don't trust a clerk. Well, the clerk was supposed to, by the law, be the one that finally checked it before taking it from the candidates.
Well, by law, they also have to notarize it.
Yes, yes. So.
But what can I say? It's Delaware County.
Well, and Muncie City. So we are going to leave you with that today. We're going to let you draw your own conclusions now that we've done a little bit of the footwork for you and putting some of these
and we've
things together.
We've told a story that you'll never hear anywhere else because we were there.
That's right. You have to be there to actually catch
the
inner workings.
Yeah, sometimes you got to be there.
You do. And we appreciate you, Delaware County. All of my members of my group, we are getting ready to hit the 25,000 mark. By the time I see you for next week's podcast, we will be there. I've already got that number waiting to get in. I just have had to find time.
Again, I'm thankful for you giving me the opportunity, and like I say, as I will close again, you represent the biggest community around
Well, we're
here.
hoping that on the 18th of June, that will be our exact 5-year mark. And that's going to be right around the time that we reach.
July.
Yep, and that's going to be right around the time that we reach the 25,000 mark. So, let freedom ring. And like Rick always says, hey, if I'm free to go, what more can I want?
Yeah, what do you want in life?
All right.
Other than be alive. Hey, thanks again.
We will see you next week, Delaware County. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Whistler, signing off.